Oh, you can't really see them. I was gonna ask, do you like my pants? They're these flowy things, but never mind, y'all can't really see them to appreciate them. I feel like I need like a booster seat. What if it helps a little bit? But hello everyone and welcome back to another, well, not true crime time, a badass dude video. I have done a few badass lady alert videos, and then I had one badass dude alert. So I can finally add another video to that playlist. The badass dude I talked about before was Keith Simpson, which he's been mentioned a lot in my true crimes. Not because he's done crime that I'm aware of, but because he's helped solve many. But I do want to give like a trigger warning, or oh, I don't know what else to really call it. But if, depending on your terms, he may not be a badass, this dude. You may not think he's cool, what he did. I think it's cool in a sense. It's not something I would do, but if you have or have ever dealt with like an eating disorder or struggle with like your body image, and this could be very intense. And I know you're hearing me describe this and you're like, what could this possibly be about? Well, today we are talking about Angus Barbieri. So his badassery takes place between June 14th, 1965 and June 30th of 1966. Although I'd like to just say it continued 1965 to present. And he's about 27, 28 when this happens. And this takes place in Dundee, Scotland. That was a terrible accent. Don't tell Scotland. So we're gonna start with the main character of the story. His name is Agostino, or Angus Barbieri, who was born in 1939 in Tayport, Fife, Scotland, to Italian parents. I didn't see much on his early life at all, but I saw his parents ran a fish and chip shop, which I learned across the pond they call it a chippy, and I think that's adorable. Hopefully they're not offended by me thinking it's adorable. Now, I don't know if this correlated to his bigger size, because one thing to know about Angus is, you can probably tell from the photos, he's a bit curvaceous. Well, he's quite curvaceous. In today's terms, he's curvaceous. Back then in the 50s, but due to his heavy weight, he struggled with daily things. Like an example I saw was in April of 1961, he went to Wembley Stadium for a soccer, we call it soccer in America, but football game. But he, like, to get off the bus and I assume onto the bus, he had to be like pushed and pulled by a lot of people, just like grabbing some folds and just pushing to get him off the bus. He also could not fit through the, I learned they're called a turnstile gate. It allows one person at a time. It's got the 3 little prongs. I think you know what I'm talking about. I could put a picture. But he could not fit through that. So security had to let him in through like a side gate, like a big side gate, I assume, where they might let vehicles in if the lawn needs to be mowed, or just not the turnstile. And I saw, this has really nothing to do with, Angus didn't do this, but he, due to security being busy helping him get in through like a side entrance, a bunch of people without tickets kind of just jumped over the turnstile gate and went into the game. So I mean, I guess that's nice for them that he was there that day. But at this time, he's only 22 or 23 years old. I can't imagine being 400 pounds at that age. Or at any age, but I think you know what I'm implying. Usually it takes years to get to that girth. Not always, but it seems to be the case. But at some point, Angus got fed up with his weight, which I can only imagine, because in the summer of 1965, when he's about 27, he checked himself into Maryfield Hospital in Dundee for help. Now, the doctors had originally planned for him to do like a bunch of like little fasting, but like in short increments, because they just thought that was better. And I guess it is compared to what he ends up doing, but they wanted him to do little ones. But Angus insisted on fasting and not stopping until he reached his goal weight. And this is different times, but the doctors agreed. As long as he would like keep coming in for checkups, and like they did blood tests, they were checking like glucose levels, they were checking all sorts of things to make sure he wasn't killing himself in a sense, or causing severe damage to his body. Now, to help him reach his goal, besides doing the fast, the never-ending fast, he stopped working at his parents' fish and chip shop to help, I assume, with the temptation. Because I get it, like I would love to work in like a bakery or something, or have my own like bakery, but I know I would eat way too many things. So I can understand why he would stop working at a fish and chip shop to help him lose his weight. He, again, visited the hospital frequently. Like, he actually listened to the doctors saying, you need to come back. We need to check on you constantly. He would even like spend the night sometimes if they wanted to monitor him overnight. Yeah, he underwent regular blood tests. I don't quite know how often. I don't think they were like an every week thing, but honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they did. And with those levels, I'm gonna link a page, like an article I found that it goes over my head about all these levels and stuff, but I'll link that in the description box if you are interested in like the more detailed levels and more medically side of things. But basically, his levels were fine. He was doing completely fine. So you're probably wondering, okay, Junebug, like how long did he fast for? Like, what is this about? Well, he fasted for 382 days. So over a year, he did not eat a single food, not a one. Hence why they were closely monitoring him. This wasn't like with the shorter fast, I assume they never probably wanted to go over a week. But he said he would not stop fasting until he reached his ideal weight. And he didn't. So if you're wondering, like me, how the heck did he do this without, dying? Well, they did give him a crap ton of multivitamins. He was taking a bunch of supplements and stuff, including there's potassium, sodium. I saw he even took a yeast supplement to get some carbs, which is not something I hear people taking often, like a yeast supplement. He drank only water, black tea, black coffee, and sparkling water. So he would normally drink water, but then, when he wants to be fancy, he has the fancy bubbly water. I mean, this is what you're consuming for over a year, you gotta mix it up a little bit, I think. And also, like I said, again, he was able to do this because the doctors were monitoring him. And side note, yeah, it's a different time. I don't think any doctor would let you do this now. So he had that working for him. He actually said, Angus, that he eventually just lost all desire for food. Like, he was completely fine not eating. I don't know how long it took him to get to that point, but I don't think it was very long, or else he wouldn't have wanted to just keep fasting. But also a very big part of this, how he was able to do this, was due to his size. If you're under, I'm gonna guess 300 pounds, could be totally wrong. This could do a lot of damage to you. Due to how much fat he had, his body had plenty to eat off of. I don't know how, like, it sounds grotesque, but when we're starving, like we have nothing to eat in a survival situation, our body starts eating the fat we have. And then like, once the fat's gone, it'll move on to like muscle, and you know how it works. So I do want to preference that if you didn't heed my warning about if you deal with any issues when it comes to something like this, and you're like, oh, maybe this is what I can do. No, I'm not suggesting you do this. So also, random fact, I didn't quite know where to put it into the story, but due to him obviously not eating like food, it was said he went to the bathroom, like he peed, I assume, every day. But like number two, to put it politely, he would go to the bathroom about every 40 to 50 days. I can't imagine that. I feel like if that were to happen, you should go to the hospital. Now, he obviously did this for over a year. So let's jump ahead to him finally ending his fast. So the last 8 months, which is insane. What do you think about it? Just the last 8 months of his fast. It did show he had very low glucose levels, but he was still able to function. He like could move well, like he wasn't just standing up and passing out. Like he could function. It was just, they were pretty low from what I saw. And then the last few months of the fast, he would sometimes, when he was feeling fancy, I guess, he would add a pinch of sugar or milk to his coffee or tea. And that was essentially to slowly start preparing him to break the fast. So 8 months before, glucose levels dropping. A few months before, he started adding a pinch of sugar and milk to stuff. And then 10 days before his first meal after fasting for so long, the doctors placed him on a diet I saw of salt and sugar, which I don't know if that means like he was just eating spoons of it, or like he just added more sugar to his coffee, or I don't know what he would have added the salt to, but that was their way of him getting his body used to solid foods again. And I put air quotes around that because is that really a solid food? Well, I guess compared to what he has been consuming for a year. But like when you think of like salt, table salt, you don't really think this is a solid food. But due to this scenario, other people kind of think like I do, like, is salt and sugar really like a solid food? Yeah, some sources say the fast was 392 days versus 382 days. Either way, it is an extremely long fast. So it is time. He's had his salt and sugar. It's time for his first meal in over a year. It was 10 a.m. on July 11th, 1966. He had, drumroll, a boiled egg and buttered bread. There were reporters, there were photographers, journalists present, just ready to document this moment. And Angus said, after eating his meal, quote, "I have forgotten what food tasted like. It went down okay. I feel a bit full, but I thoroughly enjoyed it," end quote. I am curious who chose the meal. I'm leaning towards the doctors. But now you're probably wondering aftermath. Because a lot of people, if they do something very extreme to lose weight, and I'd say this is quite up there with extreme, they tend to gain the weight back because they haven't necessarily learned a sustainable way to like maintain that weight. But first, before we get into that, Angus celebrated his achievement by going on vacation to Spain for 3 weeks with his new beach bod, I'm guessing. But after his lovely vacation, he said he eventually married a woman named Mary. They moved to Warwick and they had 2 sons. Now, I was dumb. I just totally didn't write down his weights because I just knew them. So I didn't quite know where to put them in the video. But Angus' starting weight was 456 pounds. His goal weight was 180. He hit that. He lost 276 pounds in that year. It's insane. But in 1973, about 6 years later, the doctors wanted to catch up with Angus, see how he was doing, to see if there was like anything super negatively affecting him, like that the fast may have caused years down the line. They did find that he had gained some weight back, but it was only 16 pounds. So, I mean, that's probably just him eating food again. But he always maintained a weight under 200 pounds for the rest of his life, from what I saw. He kept that weight off, minus that 16 pounds there. Which again, in my opinion, that's probably just from eating food again. But the doctors in the study found that the fast didn't seem to have any ill effects on him. There didn't seem to be any long-term effects emerging. He seemed completely fine. If honestly, better, because he lost 276 pounds. However, Angus would sadly die September 7th of 1990 at the age of 51, which unfortunately is pretty young. I don't know the cause. I tried to find it. Many sources just say a short illness. I saw one thing that was pretty obscure, like from a Reddit link. It was due to like weight related, that maybe he gained a lot of that weight back towards the end of his life, but I don't know if there's any credibility to that. And from most of the things I saw, it just said a short illness. So I don't know exactly what happened to Angus, but he did die at the age of 51. He was buried in Tayport, Fife, Scotland, where he was born. And his fast actually made the 1971 edition of the Guinness Book World of Records. As of today, he maintains that record for the longest known fast. And in case anyone has any ideas, they do not encourage it. I don't think they include that category. I think they just put it in there because it was insane what he did. They don't want people to attempt to break this. Don't do it. Don't get any ideas from me, please. But that is it. So that is the story of Angus Barbieri. I'm not great with names. Sorry if it's a bit choppy. I apparently was a dumbass and didn't write the weights down. I just saw them, knew them in my head. I was like, I don't need to write them down. But yes, I do. I need to know when to include them when I make the video. And I do want to preference, again, depending on who you ask, he may not seem like a badass. It's an extreme measure, and some people may call it cheating, I guess. But I view it as more of, holy shit, he was determined. When they just said the last 10 days of his fast, I couldn't even do a 10-day fast. Try imagining doing that fast. Do you think you could do it? I'm not saying do it, but just the determination is what really makes me dang, he was gonna lose that weight. The downside is, if you notice some of the after photos, it looks like there's a lot of loose skin underneath his sweater vest. Which, yeah, 276 pounds in a year? Yeah, that's pretty fast. Also, I do want to say that I think he's also sort of a badass because he pretty much maintained it. It very easily could have gone, he just gained it back, a year or two later. But he didn't. Just 16 pounds more. Anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think of Angus. Do you think he's kind of a badass? I think he's kind of a badass. I don't recommend anyone does this. Please, please don't. And I will see you next time. Probably with the true crime, not another Guinness World Book of Records holder guy thing. Bye.